Well, the suspicions about Russia's culpability in that deadly crash follows its attack on Christmas Day that targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure, leaving officials scrambling to prevent a total collapse of its grid. Ukrainian citizens and soldiers, exhausted by years of war, left wondering this holiday season when they may see a reprieve from the fighting. And they're hoping, obviously, for an end to the war. Joining me now, Dr. Irwin Redlener, co-founder of the Ukraine Children's Action Project, who just returned from what I believe is your 7th trip to Ukraine, as well as Poland. Always good to see you, Dr. Redlener. I mean, look, I don't need to tell you, this war has been going on for almost 3 years now. Let's just set like a baseline. What impact has it had on children in Ukraine and those who fled Ukraine? What did you see on this trip?
Well, hi, Chris. You know, it's complicated because, first of all, children are highly vulnerable to all the impact of this seemingly now endless war, including lots of physical injuries. Lots of children have been killed. Children have been kidnapped back to Russia. But on the other hand, and by the way, we've seen all this. I've made rounds in the Children's Hospital in Lviv, Ukraine, every single time we've gone there. And over and over again, we see the ravages of war on severely injured children. But and psychologically, there is, of course, an impact as well. Lots of children suffering from post-traumatic stress and so on. On the other hand, which is why it's so complicated, Chris, children are absolutely amazingly resilient. As soon as they get a sense that they're safe, their families are safe. They may be missing their dads who are at war, and we heard a lot about that from different children. They bounce back, and they're looking forward to school and learning and interacting with their friends. But at the end of the day, this is a heartbreaking situation with enough sprinkling of hope to make us keep wanting to support the children of Ukraine.
As you were talking about some of the resilience, we were seeing pictures of the dancers who seem to have a rapt audience of school children. There it is again. But we also saw before that a young man who seemed to be in an intense conversation with you, and you said that they talk a lot about their dads who are missing. Tell us more about the conversations you have with these children. I was thinking back to the very early days, maybe when you first came on after your first trip, Irwin, and the idea that they had so much hope that they would go back to their homes and back to their towns. And I wonder if they still feel that way. What's on the minds of these children who have survived?
Well, you know, we spent quite a bit of time when we first got to the region in Poland at what's called a weekend school for Ukrainian kids who are part of the refugee population who escaped escaped Ukraine early on and went to Poland and other countries in Europe. And you know, what we're seeing now are children who have been away from Ukraine for almost 3 years. A lot of them are getting assimilated into life in Poland or Czech Republic or Germany or wherever they are. We wanted to support this school, however, that reminds them they're Ukrainian. Many children are hoping to go back, but not all. And we're actually working with the Ukrainian government on programs that will help remind kids of their Ukrainian heritage and how important they will be to the recovery of Ukraine. I think we need to appreciate more how young people and kids will be responsible for helping to really rebuild Ukraine after this terrible war.
So let me, if I can interrupt you there, because we only have a minute left, but I'm curious, does even the possibility of Slovakia hosting peace talks between Russia and Ukraine give you any hope at all? You know, Putin says he's open to it. Some people think maybe he is, given that hundreds of thousands of Russians have died or been wounded. But how do you find hope? How do these children find hope?
Well, they find hope. First of all, Russia has a lot at stake in this war, too. They've lost probably 700,000 soldiers. And many people, of course, died and have been injured on the Ukrainian side as well. So both parties want to get out of this conflict, hopefully. The big open question is, how will Donald Trump perform, regardless of who else is actually hosting peace negotiations? All eyes will be on Trump and what he decides to do, and who knows what that'll be. But hopefully, Ukraine will be able to retain its independence, retain its status as a very important democratic ally of the United States and Europe, be able to join the European community and get on with rebuilding that really quite fantastic, inspiring country that's under siege by a very aggressive Russia.
Dr. Irwin Redlener, thank you for all the work that you and we saw Karen, your wife sitting next to you, have done for the children of Ukraine. And thanks for coming on the program. Happy New Year to you both.
Of course. And you too.
Coming up, the new grand jury indictment.